The regular meeting of the Batavia City Council for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2013. Would you all please rise for a brief invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Tonight, we ask for guidance and blessings upon the community of Batavia as we undertake the work before us. We are ever mindful that we are about to enter the fall season with the dramatic change of colors that we will experience on our trees and our foliage in our community, and we are ever admirable of the magic and ever thankful for the many, many efforts that have been made over the years to landscape and fully install in Batavia a tree inventory that's one to be envied by many other communities. Tonight, as always, we want to remember those from our community who are serving on foreign soil in defense of the liberties of the United States of America. And we just ask a special blessing be showered upon them as they go about their duties of defending our honor and liberty throughout the world. Tonight, we also ask for guidance and understanding and perception as we deal with the items on our agenda and discuss items of development and interest within the Batavia community. And we just ask for guidance, knowing that each and every one of us is here with the task of trying to do the best we can to represent both Batavia today and in the future. We ask for all these blessings. Amen. Alderman Holman, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Brown.
Here.
Clark. Atack.
Here.
Stark. Here. Chanzit.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Sparks.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Callahan.
Here.
Holman.
Here.
Sam.
Here.
Basilian. Saron.
Here.
McFadden.
Here. Let the record reflect that all 14 elected members of the City Council are present and accounted for this evening's meeting, so we obviously have the necessary quorum to conduct business. Moving then to item number 4, which are items to be removed, added, or changed on the agenda. Alderman Sparks, as Chairman of Governmental Services, do you have anything this evening?
Not that I know of.
Anybody else? Okay, moving to item number 5 then, which is presentation of tonight's consent agenda. Again, Alderman Sparks, as Chairman of Governmental Services Committee, would you present this, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. Consent agenda reads as follows: to accept and place on file A, the Zoning Board of Appeals for July 17th, 2013, B, the Plan Commission minutes for June 19th, 2013, the approvals: A, August 30th, 2013 payroll in the amount of $713,754.17, B, the August 30th, 2013 accounts payable check register in the amount of $965,668.84, C, the City Council minutes for August 5th, 2013, D, Resolution 13-88-R, authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Batavia and the United States Department of Energy regarding maintenance of transmission line facilities, E, Resolution 13-107-R, dedication of Hoover Road, F, Resolution 13-108-R, dedication of Garfield Street, G, Resolution 13-109-R, dedication of Hamlet Street, H, Resolution 13-110-R, authorizing execution of the contract for the 2013 MFT Street Program with Geneva Construction Company, I, Resolution 13-111-R, resolution for maintenance of streets and highways by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code. I move that we accept and place on file the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Sparks, second by Alderman Stark for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion, additions, notations, conversation? Clerk, call the roll.
Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Basilian.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Atack.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Chanzit. Wolf.
Consent agenda is approved, 14 yes, no no's, none absent. Moving to item number 6 then, matters from the public for items not on the agenda. Do we have any this evening? I guess not. Moving then to item number 7, which is the Batavia Chamber of Commerce's report to the City Council. Mr. Bryce, Executive Director, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In deference to our guest, I won't be taking any time with announcements. It's delightful to bring Art Van Furniture here to the City Council. Barry Davidson, who is their Vice President and General Manager for the Chicago region, is here to give us a short presentation. As a reminder, if you haven't seen it, we are hosting a ribbon cutting on Saturday, September the 21st. We hope that many of you will join us. I believe it's 9 a.m. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I believe so.
9 a.m. for the ribbon cutting and grand opening of Art Van Furniture on Randall Road. And I know that you're all very excited. This is going to be a huge new piece of economic development for the city of Batavia. So it is my pleasure to introduce Barry Davidson.
Thank you for having me over tonight. Again, I'm Barry Davidson. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Art Van in Chicago. I'd like to give a brief overview tonight of what we're all about and show a short 4-minute video to give you a little more insight into our company. As you may be aware, we are from Michigan, and we're a 54-year-old company, started out in a 4,000 square foot store back in the late 50s by Mr. Art Van himself, who is still with us and is the chairman of the company. We currently have 2 stores open in the Chicagoland. We just opened this past weekend, Maryville, Indiana, and prior to that in July, we opened a store out in Orland Park. Based upon our expectations, they are exceeding our expectations. They are phenomenal. We have done very, very well. For people that don't know who Art Van is in Illinois, customers have flocked into our stores, and we're very, very pleased and proud of how it's gone so far. On top of those 2 stores, overall, we're opening up 5 stores in 91 days in Chicagoland. Our next store is here in Batavia, as you just heard, on September 21st, and then right after that, we have 2 stores in downtown Chicago. One on Elston Avenue in October 19th, and at the same time, Bedford Park on the same day of October 19th. So overall, when we open up these 5 stores, we'll have over 300,000 square feet of selling in Chicago within those 91 days that we open. We've also opened up a cross-dock facility in Bolingbrook, Illinois, 183,000 square feet. So we will warehouse our merchandise in Warren, Michigan, and cross-dock it in Bolingbrook and deliver it on a third-party service out here in Illinois for us. And so far, it's worked extremely well. Our warehouse in Michigan is 1 million square feet, and one of our benefits of being privately held is that we carry an enormous amount of inventory on hand. And one of the benefits of that is you can get delivery within 48 hours of purchase. So to our benefit, we take the customer out of the marketplace, and to your benefit, you get furniture right away. So that's good. So as we continue to identify new sites within Illinois, we'll be announcing those shortly. These first 5, and then in 2014, we've already announced one for Woodridge and Bolingbrook, which is an 80,000 square foot facility opening in February. And hopefully shortly we'll announce a few more sites that we've obtained leases on within the marketplace of western Chicago. All right, let me just show you a quick video here, 4 minutes. I think it'll give you some good insight in the history of Art Van, and then I'll open up for questions.
Sir,
Yes.
if you could take the mic off the stand when you're talking so that we make sure we get good.
Would it be
Audio.
helpful to shut the lights down while they're showing the video? Would that be better on TV or not? We're live on TV, so we're trying to get this set up so that the viewers on TV can see this too.
As good as we can for you.
Would it be better with the lights down? Would it show better on TV?
If they're using the overhead, we should be able to pull a feed at that.
Okay. So leave the lights on.
Leave the lights on? Okay.
Thank you.
Cars had tail fins, and a tiny record label called Motown exploded onto the music scene. Something else happened in Detroit in 1959. Something that hit Detroit residents right where they live. A young entrepreneur named Art Van Elslander opened a new furniture store. And what he didn't know then was that he was going to make history. Taking a 4,000 square foot store to Michigan's largest furniture chain, with more than 200 trucks completing some 300,000 deliveries annually. How did Art Van Furniture become the Midwest #1 furniture and mattress retailer? It started with a simple vision. Make a commitment to your guests, exceed their expectations, and become the most trusted name in the furniture business. Because, at the core, giving your guests what they want, style, value, quality, unprecedented service and choice, all at a price they can afford, is what customers are looking for. This is Art Van. Popular stores, impeccable customer service, and massive inventory, priced right and styled for today's consumers. Now Art Van Furniture is bringing its unique style to Chicagoland, opening new stores, introducing innovative ideas, and beautifying homes. It's the first expansion outside of Michigan in the company's 54-year history. Chicago, the city with something for everyone, will now be home to Art Van Furniture. Each new Art Van store brings new jobs and opportunity to support and give back to the communities it serves. To be a great corporate citizen, we've developed the Art Van $1 Million Charity Challenge that is given to 150 charities, resulting in $17 million in badly needed funds in just the past 5 years. We will continue to support that same level of giving in Chicago. What makes people come back to Art Van time and time again? It's how they feel about the store and how they're treated. Because at the heart of every Art Van store is its people, its culture. It's Art Van's commitment to successful business practices. His impeccable style is the perfect fit for Chicagoland. An alliance built on similar values. The city of big shoulders gets a first-hand look at the retailer with big dreams, big results, and a commitment to setting new trends. That's why Art Van Furniture is always inventing what's next. New technology, new products. This commitment to innovation extends to Art Van's mattress business called Pure Sleep, which features exclusive diagnostic technology. Pure Sleep is the only mattress store in America that scientifically fits the guest with the right mattress, based on their own unique body type and sleep style. That's why Art Van Pure Sleep is called the Great Night Sleep Store. Art Van Furniture has defined the way people furnish their homes in Michigan, and now we're in Chicago to do the same. Art Van and the entire organization are proud and excited to serve all of Chicago. Honesty, trust, optimism, friendliness, whatever can be said about Chicago can be said about Art Van, the man who started it all. Art Van Furniture. One way or another, we're gonna get you.
Art Van Furniture, the Midwest's #1 furniture and mattress retailer, is grand opening in Orland Park. Fresh style, first quality, famous values. Save up to 65% with 0% for 50 months. Saturday, 9 a.m. The grand opening. Art Van Furniture.
One way or another, we're gonna find you. We're gonna get you, get you, get you, get you. One way or another, we're gonna win you. We're gonna get you, one way.
Employed in new jobs, created over 300 new jobs in the market since we've opened, and 50 of those positions are in our Batavia store right here. So any questions at all?
I'd just like to say, I shared with the city council when you had me into Elston Avenue with the governor to make the initial announcement that you were coming into Chicago. And I've had the opportunity to, as I think I maybe had mentioned to you on that occasion, my niece lives in Grand Rapids, and she and her husband are very active in the community, and they can't say enough about your community willingness to participate in. And I think you even helped sponsor their Santa Claus parade at Christmas time at Grand Rapids and a whole bunch of other stuff. But she was telling me that the thing that she admires is the quality of your furniture. She says that, you know, she's in her early 30s and is one of these people that's really into stuff, and she tells me that you really do have a wide inventory of styles and both indoor and outdoor furniture and a variety of other things, which make you very, very popular with consumers in Michigan. And she's obviously been to Batavia a number of times and tells me she thinks this will be a dynamite location for you. So I just thought I'd share that with you, that you're getting high recommendations from my niece up in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
We appreciate the kind comments. So I'm not here to pitch the store really, but we are. But we do very well in Michigan. And Mr. Van, as you heard, is very, very philanthropic, and from a standpoint of giving back to the community, knows his roots. And when he started out 54 years ago in a 4,000 square foot store, it is all about people and his $1 million challenge, and he'll do the same here in Chicago.
Well, we welcome you very excitingly to Batavia, and we wish you many years of business growth and success in our town, and look forward to seeing you on the 21st at 9 a.m., and we'll cut the ribbon and see what size of a crowd we get out there. I'm sure
it'll be large. That'll be great.
There'll be a number of folks that'll be kind of circling the wagon out there waiting to go in and see what you're all about. So that'll be the true test of how good you're gonna be, I'm sure, one of your grand openings.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Bryce, did you have anything else you wish to come back up and cogitate about, or? All right. Moving then to item number 8, which is a public hearing that was scheduled for 7:35, so we're beyond that, which is okay, which is the continuation of the proposing the establishment of the Special Service Area 57 for downtown Batavia Main Street. So we convene this, and you have anything, Alderman Brown, or?
I'll just make a few comments. As you all know, when the original SSA was proposed at the first public hearing, there were some comments from the public, and they asked us to extend this for 60 days so that they would have a chance to meet with the staff and go over this. They have done that. You've all got a draft review or a draft proposal of the proposed SSA, and what I'd like to do tonight is continue the public meeting, the public hearing for another 2 weeks so that this can be put into final draft and come to us as one piece of paper that is in the entirety. It was a very good meeting from what I understand between staff and the business owners that wanted to be involved, and it's going along very well. I have talked to Mr. Pitts, who was the person that asked for the extension, and he is certainly in favor of granting this 2-week extension so that they can complete this and bring it back in 2 weeks. So with that, I move to continue the public hearing for SSA 57 till September 16th, 2013.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Wolf for the continuation of the public hearing for SSA 57 till September 16th. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Brown.
Aye.
Clark. Atak.
Aye.
Stark. Transit. Wolf.
Aye.
Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan. Homan.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Basilian.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Motion for continuation is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Moving to item number 9 then, which is Resolution 13-106-R, authorizing execution of a land purchase agreement for property at the northeast corner of Wilson Street and Kirk Road. And Dave, you want to defer to Scott, or you?
I'll just defer to Scott. I was prepared to present it, but Scott, you're standing there. Go right ahead.
I'll just stand up in case there are any questions. This is a land purchase agreement for the property at the northeast corner of Wilson Street and Kirk Road. We've been working with the prospective purchaser of this property, Speedway LLC. We believe we have come to agreement on all the terms. We had a little back and forth on some language on the liquor license that may need to be modified slightly, but we believe that we have everything resolved with them, and we are recommending to proceed with execution of this agreement.
So I'm sure everybody's had a chance to read the memo from staff and read the agreement. There are quite a few, what do I want to say here, Scott, quite a few items on here that have to be met in order to make this sale go through. As Scott mentioned, the liquor license, the zoning, the redevelopment plan, all that normal stuff has to be done in order to make the sale go through. In other words, if they aren't allowed to build the building, they don't want to buy the property. And they've got 240 days of due diligence, and there's a couple of extensions that are allowed per this agreement, mostly due to the wetlands that we all know are out there. If they need some more time for that, they can be granted that per this agreement, but at the time they're granted that, they get 2 30-day extensions, and each 30-day extension, they have to put $10,000 into escrow at that time. So it's a great agreement. I'm certainly in favor for it. I know Scott's been working very hard with the proposed purchaser, and I think it's a great thing to see happen on a piece of property that currently isn't paying any taxes into the tax roll at all right now.
I just want to make the observation that the liquor license provision in this is a bit of a discussion, I think, on the part of the city council as to whether or not we're going to change our ordinance and allow for gas stations to sell alcohol. I will tell you from previous conversations I've had rather recently that if this one is granted, we will immediately have 6 more applications. There will be 6 more gas stations that are waiting in line to get the opportunity to sell liquor. So it'll be, I think, it would be a revenue source to the city, but I mean, obviously, we have to, let the word go forth to all of them that we really are gonna demand some compliance about how you're gonna handle something like this. So that's something I think we need to have the appropriate J-COW discussion about at some future date, because to this point in time, we've never allowed alcohol sales in gas stations. And I'm sure Chief Shira, his staff, and maybe myself can offer some observations about it when we get to the point of the meeting where we want to have this. I don't want to do it tonight, but I will tell you that I think that's, you need to have some discussion on how they're going to do it and how big it's going to be and, how it's going to be administered and whatever. So we'll have some more to say about that one.
The latest draft does not grant them the right to a liquor license. They would have to go through the normal process and get that approval. So, I mean,
Well, what they're asking for is the opportunity to do it, and, I mean, if you grant it for them, you're gonna be, I don't know how you tell the rest of them you can't have it, but there's at least 6 others right now that are waiting to do this. So it'll be a pretty open market at that point in time.
I move for approval of Resolution 13-106-R.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Holman. Clerk call the roll.
Brown.
Aye.
Clark. Atak.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Chanzit. Wolf. Sparks.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan. Homan.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Vasilian. Saron. McFadden.
Aye.
Resolution 13-106-R is approved, 14 yes, no no's, none absent. Okay, moving to item 10, the administrator's report. Mr. McGrath, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Gary Holm, myself, Alderman Clark, and Bob Rogde are traveling down to Prairie State tomorrow. We're appearing at the Management Committee meeting on Thursday morning to discuss our ownership with the rest of the Management Committee. As you know, we're looking to see if we can dispose of some of that interest. We think that that will lead to the September 17th J-COW, when we'll have a discussion of the result of that, which we'll get to you long before that. But on just September 17th, we'll begin a discussion of our cost of service study results and future electric rates. We had a very good meeting on Friday, which was initiated by the mayor with Batavia Enterprises on the Walgreens project. Staff had met before that meeting, and we were able to agree with Batavia Enterprises on the types of costs that are eligible for TIF support. They presented their justifications and analysis for the type and amount of support, which we're reviewing and getting to our consultants. We agreed that in light of their deadline, that the design review process, which is currently set for September 18th, should go ahead, so that as soon as possible we resolve that. It's some fairly minor issues, I believe, and try and get them up to the J-COW and the council. We made a proposal regarding the use of the ownership and maintenance of the city public parking, which they're reviewing. Public Works is discussing with them. They've had a back and forth on a proposal for leaving the storm line in place in trade for the developer taking on responsibility for maintenance and repair of the portion of the line that's impacted by the project. And as I mentioned to you at the last meeting, we thought we were in a place where we would like to plan a couple of special J-COW meetings. And as I put on your tentative calendar tonight, we believe that Monday, September 23rd, we hope we'll be in a position to appear before you, tell you where we've been, and only time will tell what happens between now and then, but that's what we'd like to plan. And we'll also have the benefit of seeing what happened at the first design review meeting. So we're making progress and in getting it to you to make decisions, and are very mindful of their deadlines. Lastly, the Art in Your Eye Art Festival is Saturday and Sunday, September 21st and 22nd. This is the first year it's been moved to the month of September. This is the only actual city-sponsored festival. for all these years, it's been in August, but we've really had some issues with the weather, from heat to rain to storms. So we've tried to move it back into September when everybody's back and in school, everybody's home from vacation, and the weather should be a little more temperate. So that's Saturday and Sunday. It's Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. If you've never been there before, it's a full day of music. There's a professional juried art show with artists from all over the country. There's a juried art show here at City Hall for area artists. There's a student art exhibit to support high school artists. There's a children's area. We have a very limited food area so that we actually help funnel people to the local restaurants, and our food vendor is a local restaurateur as well. And this year there's a new feature where there's going to be a display or exhibition of local and area businesses which are tied into the art field, so art supplies and some other kind of music stores and some other things like that. So it's a very good time, and the city's been very supportive of this. I think this is the 9th year of the festival. So that's all I have for tonight.
Any questions to the city administrator? Alderman Brown, you were at the meeting for Walgreens along with myself. Would you like to offer any comments about the meeting?
Well, Bill pretty well summed everything up. It was a very good meeting. I was glad I was there. I can say that there were some tense moments, I guess you could say, on both sides, and calm heads prevailed, and we ended up sitting back and saying, okay, let's get this thing worked out to a point where the city council can make the decision. So that's where it's gone. As Bill said, he hit the high points of what it is that could be a real sticky point. There's always going to be the issues that are going to come in front of us, being the setback and some other variances that they're looking for, but those aren't anything that really, at this point, in my opinion, require any of staff's time or BEI's time. Those are things that they have said they're going to be looking for, and I think we're all aware of that. So the issues at hand are primarily the storm line, the amount of TIF, the setback is an issue, and the land purchase, swap arrangement, maintenance arrangement, those types of issues. So those are in my opinion, those are the things that really need to be a lot of time spent on with staff and BEI, and I know they're working hard on that. Staff is committed to making this project come to the city council. Where it goes from there is yet to be heard, but it is going to be in front of us during the time frame that we're looking at, and that time frame is by December 1st, documents have to be signed if they're going to be signed. So everybody's got a lot of work to do between now and then, and I think you may see more than one or two J-Cows on this, but that's what we're committed to do. Mayor?
As chairman of the Community Development Committee, I asked Alderman Brown to join us at the meeting because we had agreed with Batavia Enterprises to bring their staff and the city staff together here to have kind of a finding of fact as to where we really could go with this thing. And I felt, as Alderman Brown indicated, I felt very good about the meeting at the end. I mean, as he said, we had some moments of disagreement, but we seemingly worked through most of those disagreements. At least I think there was a common ground found, and we were able to get a lot of things resolved. And Batavia Enterprises came in with a list of issues that they felt that needed to be addressed, and I think at the end of the day, we had addressed every one of the issues, and there seemed to be a solution at the end of the day for all of them. So I remain optimistic that we can meet the December 1st deadline, as Alderman Brown indicated. Walgreens obviously has certain times of the year when they need to start projects because they have given dates that they want to be in a position to open a store by, and I guess in this case, they want to be in a position to open this by next October, I think is what they're kind of shooting for, because that puts them then in front of such things as Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day, and those are some of the big event days in their particular business. So that's kind of what we're kind of trying to get to, and I just want to thank the staff for their searching for ways to kind of get this thing done, and obviously the ultimate decision belongs with the 14 of you here, you're gonna get a chance to vote on each and every one of these things, but we certainly, I think there was a feeling in the community that this was just kind of languishing along and we weren't getting any place, and we really needed to have some closure and some decision and get it to you so you can make the final yes or no votes as to whether or not this was gonna go forward. So that's the goal of the staff and myself, and I think Alderman Brown, that we want to get it to a position that you're gonna be voting on this stuff very soon, and there will be some things that will have to be explained to you in some detail, and you will then have to make your decision based on where you want to go with it. But that's going to be up to the 14 of you, will be the ultimate decision makers. So appreciate everybody's working with us to try to get this accomplished, so. Okay, moving to committee reports. Community Development, Alderman Brown.
Couple meetings to announce tonight, Your Honor. Historic Preservation is scheduled to meet on September 9th at 5:30. The Joint Committee meeting of a whole is scheduled to meet September 10th at 7:30. There's 6 items on the agenda. One is Public Works, one is City Services. I think the rest are CDC. Ordinance 13-36, annexation of 1008 Basswood Court. And then Resolution 13-114-R, easement grant 125 West Wilson. And then Resolution 13-115-R for grant for application of surface transportation program funds, and then submittal grant application for overlay funds. Then, as Bill mentioned, we do have, we've got another JCOW set for September 17th, and we've got 2 of them set up for September 23rd and September 30th. Right now, the only thing we're planning on those 2 nights is for Walgreens discussion. And I would imagine there'll be some more Walgreens discussion and updates on the 17th. And Plan Commission is scheduled for September 18th at 7:30. And again, on that agenda is the design review for the Walgreens project. So right now, the word is Walgreens. That's all I have for my meetings, Your Honor.
Okay, Public Utilities, Alderman Clark, please.
There's one item tomorrow night on the JCOW agenda, and that's a stormwater utility discussion. It was presented, I don't know, last year maybe, and it's only for discussion purposes only, whether the city would like to explore having a stormwater utility, like we do an electric utility, wastewater, water utility. So that's on tomorrow night's agenda. And then Bill mentioned on the 17th, we have the electric cost of service rates discussion. And that's it for public utilities.
Any questions? City Services, Alderman Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next Tuesday, the 10th, we have Main Street Deer Path Road agreement with Kane County. And I actually think the last 2 that Alderman Brown mentioned, Resolution 115 and the overlay funds are city services. Doesn't matter, we'll take care of them. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I think I want to make a correction to Alderman Clark.
Yeah, I thought today was Monday and tomorrow would be Tuesday, so it's September 10th.
Yeah,
My
that's why I
apologies.
wanted to clear the air, so if anybody's
Thank
watching on
you.
TV, they
I didn't even
didn't
realize
run down
last
here for a
night.
meeting that's not going to be. Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Sparks is Government Services.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll take what's left. September 17th, JCOW, there's strategic planning element. There's Resolution 13-113-R, amend fund balances, net position policy, and the JCOW process review. Thank you.
Okay. We have other business? Anybody on the council? Alderman Wolf?
I want to announce the BATV coverage of live football again will be on September 6th, this Friday night, 7 p.m. As Batavia takes on Oak Lawn Richards, and thank the over 1,500 people that watched on last Saturday night for the second round of the first game. Quite an interesting evening, Friday night, with emptying the football stadium in about 3.5 minutes, and then the end of the game. Want to apologize to anybody that didn't get to see the last 3 minutes of it, as programming switched, as we had a 3.5-hour time slot for the game, which has always been enough, and for whatever reason, we didn't make it. So anybody that was watching it on Comcast lost that feed for 3.5 minutes. I've heard that about 100 times already. But the majority of the people that were watching it on YouTube got to see it in HD and had no problems throughout the broadcast. And we had people from the East Coast to the West Coast, all the way into Florida. Nobody out of the country that I heard at this time. Another successful upgrade in broadcast. Now we got the timing problem fixed.
Anybody else? Alderman Sam, you want to talk about the pie booth?
Well, it was actually really successful. So we did the Pie Your Alderman in the Face as part of the fundraiser for the block party this past Sunday. And we raised $250 we gave everybody 5 options. I think it was community garden, Shakespeare on Clark, new banners, planters, and one other thing, and I can't remember what it is. But community garden was voted for the most, so that's where the $250 will go back into the Main Street budget for. So yeah, thanks to all the aldermen who stepped up, and thanks to everybody who threw pies at our faces. It was great. It was well attended, and I think we could do even better next time. So we'll publicize it better. Yeah.
I did this one time many years ago in my early days of my career here. And so I remember with quite the reservation, when it started, I was wearing contact lenses, and I would recommend to nobody that if you're gonna get in a pie throwing contest, that you keep your contact lenses in. I learned my lesson on that. Did you have any lessons that you learned of things you shouldn't be wearing, or?
I would like to apologize to Alderman Wolf for my son trying to murder him
No.
by holding the pie there.
We had the extra one where I let the little kids come up right in front so that they didn't have to miss and they could have fun. Well, Nikki held it up there, and I think he probably looked around to make sure everything was okay. And about 30 seconds later, I think he let go.
Alderman Intek?
Yes. I would like to make an announcement for the Batavia Viking Lodge and United Way. The Batavia Viking Wing Lodge number 18 is partnering with the Batavia United Way and the Illinois Fire Safety Alliance Burn Camp for the 3rd annual chili cook-off on October 5th at 1 p.m. And they are looking for cooks. They would like the aldermen to come and cook. They're looking for celebrity cooks. They said we can team up together if we'd like. And tasting tickets are $5. And I think contacts would be the Batavia United Way, 879-4041.
When do we have to register by?
You know, I don't know that.
Anybody else?
Your Honor?
Alderman Brown?
I do have a couple of things I feel as though I need to bring up tonight. Over the weekend, I had a couple phone calls and I met with some business owners. And although I know we do have staff has a meeting, it's now once a month at Panera regarding the downtown business, or the downtown streetscape process, and I don't think very many people, if anybody, attends. There is quite a concern by the businesses of our downtown as to how long this is taking. And the conditions that the sidewalks are in and the accessibility that their customers have. As it was explained to me, for the men, it doesn't seem like a big deal. For the women, kind of hard to walk on the sidewalks with high heels. It seems like it's a real deterrent. People pull into town and they say, geez, I'm not going to stop here. What a mess. And in their opinion, it does seem like it's just taken way too long, and I think I may have to concur with that. When we see retaining walls that are dug up and footings that are put in and just sit there for 3 weeks at a time, I don't quite understand that myself. So I did tell them that what I would do is I would bring up a couple things. One is that on River Street, we had a subcommittee that worked with staff, and I felt was very beneficial. We do not have that on Wilson Street, and I think that is not a good thing. So what I explained to them was that what I would do is I would ask that I would bring this up tonight, and I would ask, Your Honor, that you make sure that this gets put on a J-COW in the near future, I'm thinking maybe it doesn't look like there's too much on the September 17th meeting that we could start this conversation. I would like to see engineering, our city engineer, come in and talk to us and explain what's going on, if there's a delay, why there's a delay, and then I guess eventually I'd like to have more conversation as to the whole process as it goes. What could we do different? What could we do better? River Street, we had some issues. We still have issues on River Street. Why do we still have issues on River Street? Well, now we're on Wilson Street, and we got issues on Wilson Street. What's being done to correct that? So I think we really need to get that process going. The next streetscape we're talking about doing, we're not quite sure whether we want to do construction manager, hard bid, CM at risk, what we want to do. So I think that process needs to get started. And I think we could say that we've learned a lot from the two we've done. We're still in the midst of a second one, and I'm not hearing that the businesses are very happy with what we're doing. They're very happy about the streetscape. Don't get me wrong there. They're very happy about that. They just think it's dragging out and going on way too long. So I'd like, Your Honor, to make sure you get this on to JCAL so we can have some discussion at committee on this. Secondly, I'd like to bring up that over the weeks, over the months since the election, I've had some aldermen talk to me about, again, process. And one of the things that was brought up was the appointment of department heads by the mayor, and the ability for the aldermen to be involved in that process and or the review of the department heads. And again, Your Honor, I'd like you to see if you could get that on a JCAL so we could have that discussion again. And I don't want that to be forgotten. That's something that was talked about back then, and I don't want it just to be swept under the rug and forgotten. So I think we need to make sure we get that on a JCAL coming up in the future and have that discussion, if you don't mind.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna keep you all here for about another 10 minutes, because I've got some pictures I want to show you of some stuff that has happened. Scott, can we do the WGN thing first?
Sure.
Okay, let me kind of introduce this. Last Friday night, we got hit with some kind of a wind shear on the east side of Batavia about 6:30, and it was kind of a straight line. It looked to be kind of a straight line situation, and it came down and at the corner of North Washington Avenue and Latham Street, and it basically dropped a tree right in the middle of Route 25. It then jumped the block and went over into the 500 and 600 block of North Van Buren Street, and it did kind of a mini version of what we had last year out on Western Avenue, where it basically took out a utility pole on our main east side feeder line, and it also took down a number of trees in the street, and you went up there and it looked like it was a war zone, but it was like the only real spot in Batavia that we had any significant damage to. And I mean, this was some significant damage. This ended up, the electric utility in the Public Works Department, I want to publicly commend here tonight, because they were up there for 12 hours putting that back together, and they were able to kind of localize the outage over the 2 hours after it happened, so they had most of the east side back into service, with the exception of about a 3 square block area right where all this damage took place. And also, I want to specifically commend tonight our Batavia Emergency Services and Disaster Agency, because those young gentlemen you saw swear in here at their last, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, they got their real indoctrination that night, because they were all getting ready to go to the football game and help with crowd control there, and as Alderman Wolf indicated, the game got canceled, so I guess they were looking for something to do, and we ended up giving them something to do, because they were up there for 12 hours themselves. They were up there all night long, deferring traffic away from the area. So while all this is going down, the world being that it is, Chicago TV got word that this situation had occurred in Batavia and that we had major damage. So we had not one, but 2 mini cams show up from WGN, along with Tom Nebeden, one of their lead guys, and we were the opening news story on the 9 o'clock news on WGN on Friday night. And I've since have heard about this. When you get on TV like that, it amazes me the number of millions of viewers in the region, I swear, that watch this stuff, and you get a lot of notoriety real quick when you get on TV like that. So we were able to get a copy of the WGN clip, and I think Scott's gonna be able to hit it here and play it for you.
Good evening, I'm Micah Matera.
And I'm Mark Sapelsa, and it is our top story seen around the country tonight on WGN America. We begin with Tom Negevin in the western suburb of Batavia, where some 4,200 are without it in that west region now. Tom?
And we are among some of those people right now, Mark and Micah, and we were in those storms, very intense as they moved through, and what we have around us is the result as folks try to recover from them with the help of utility crews in Batavia. The lights went out around 6 o'clock tonight, remain out right now, lines down all over, trees down all over, and they're working here to recover from the high winds and heavy rain that rolled through around that time, abating now. A line down actually in the street just behind me. That's what crews at this location are working on, working first to get the tree off of it. Again, trees down on every block around us, including a couple of blocks away across a major roadway, impeding traffic there. Quite a night, very dramatic lightning as well. The folks living in the dark for the past few hours treated earlier this evening to a pretty amazing light show in the sky.
I was in my bedroom, which was dark inside, and watching the flashes, and I heard the trees start to crack and fall down, and I was like, well, that can't be thunder. So I was like 20 feet away from the tree as it's falling down, and I was like, wait, something's falling down, so I rushed to the window, and okay, that's what happened. Thank God it didn't fall in my room.
There was a heavy wind early, and then rain, and then all of a sudden more wind, so.
And it just keeps coming, doesn't it?
That's right.
Talking to us in the middle of the storm. Folks around here in very good spirits about all this. They've been through this before, but utility crews here reminding us, and they want us to remind you, lines down all over this area, always to be treated as live as they are doing now, working as quickly as safety allows to get the wires back up and the power back on. Live in Batavia, Tom Negevin, WGN News.
I think, you know, the context of it all, that's a pretty favorable clip for the community of Batavia and you know, certainly our electric utility and public works. So I've got some still shots. Are you can you start those? Okay, this is I want to start with this one. Those of you who have been around here for a while may remember this was a tsunami wave, I guess we'll call it, that was painted by none other than our city administrator. And in Bill, was this 1998? Did we decide today? 1990. This was painted, and you know, we have, this is going to lead into something I wanted to talk about, but we have in Batavia some unique memories of kind of neat things that happened, and this got hung off the side of Craig Fotos' barber shop on the Wilson Street right away through the business district, and it hung there for about 6 weeks. And it was very favorably received by people in the community when they saw this, and appreciated very much the art that went into it and the kind of the razzle-dazzle and color it brought to downtown Batavia. Since then, we've had other things kind of appear. We had the Peace on Earth sign go on the bridge over here that goes across the river joining the east and west side. And we've had, you know, some other things that people have just bothered to introduce. Right now, we've got a rendition of a cow made out of an oil tank that sits up in the front yard on North Washington Avenue, and it's become kind of the community identity. I have people from Arlington Heights, and I've had a guy from Joliet tell me that he drove up to Batavia to take pictures of the cow can, as he called it, on Route 25 in Batavia.
It has its own Facebook page.
It has its own Facebook page. So I guess where I want to go here is that the city of Batavia as a government, we get situations that we get put in that we really don't have, I'll call it ordinances that kind of control this, whether or not you should let somebody hang a tsunami wave on the side of a downtown building, whether or not you should put Peace on Earth on the side of a sign, whether you should have a cow in the front yard. Quite honestly, I've never had anybody say bad things about it. You know, Walmart has come in and asked me if they could put a a balloon on their building for a couple of days as part of their grand opening. So I told them, sure, go ahead, I don't think there's any big deal with it. It's only gonna be there a couple of days. So you're gonna see a balloon at Walmart here pretty quick. But to kind of get into this so that we kind of cover ourselves, I've asked Scott, as our new community development director, to kind of put together some type of a, I don't know what we want to call this, Scott, a loosely crafted ordinance that will kind of allow this to happen. And I mean, if we get somebody that does something obscene or offensive or whatever have you, we'll have some control that we can do this. But in the same token, if you have people come in and say, well, gee, the city let this go on or that, I mean, I think we gotta, and Scott's working on it. I don't know if you're quite ready to talk about it, but we're gonna be bringing this to you here sometime in the near term.
Yeah, we're proposing basically an ordinance that would allow for grand opening signs for, businesses that are brand new or are remodeling, where they could pretty much do anything they want within the first 30 days of opening. So it's kind of a business-friendly way of trying to, encourage the businesses to come, to promote their business. First 30 days, we thought that it isn't really significant on, what they put up, just for that 30-day period. It's a one-time thing. Let them promote their businesses how they see fit, and let's be a little more open to what they want to do depending on what they're looking to open with. So that's one of the things that we're proposing to change in the zoning ordinance.
And maybe as a kind of a phase two, and I don't know if we know quite yet how to do this, but to deal with something like this or the cow in the yard or whatever, that we kind of at least have some understanding that we allow stuff like this to happen as long as it doesn't, become an offense or somebody gets incensed by it or it causes a problem in some way, shape, or form. So just so you know, it's coming to you, but I wanted to use this because as you know, I've been dealing with the estate of William Wood, our former historian, and Bill had this picture. I just found it amongst his artifacts rather recently. I'm getting ready to put the house up for sale, and I found this picture that he thought it was quite memorable, so he had been down and took probably 10 different angle shots of this tsunami wave hanging on the side of Craig Foltos' store. Craig's one of those people, he put Peace on Earth on the bridge here the first time, so he's one of those free spirits that we have in Batavia, and goodness knows now that we have the art studio and everything else in town, I have a feeling we're going to have more of these in the days ahead. So just so we're all ready to deal with it, we're trying to come up with some language. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is a picture I took a couple of weeks ago. I was out on a little trip, and this is out on Route 72, just north of the town of Davis Junction, Illinois. And if you look way out in the distance there, you can see a mountain, and that mountain is where the Batavia garbage trucks deposit all of our garbage that's picked up in Batavia on a weekly basis. And this is in Ogle County. It's basically near the intersection of 72 and Route 39. When we pick up garbage in Batavia, we take it to the transfer station and it's treated and separated out there, and then it's the garbage that's actually landfilled is shipped to this particular facility out in Ogle County. But I wanted to let you see what a nice facility this is. This is totally surrounded by farm fields, and they are seemingly, I talked to some of the folks out there in the government, and they're very appreciative of this landfill because they've been able to use the revenues from it to put in water and sewer and build a fire station and do all kinds of stuff. So they're not screaming and hollering about it, but it's nicely, you can see how far removed it is from the roads and that, and I just wanted to let you see where the Batavia garbage goes. Next slide. Okay, this is a slide or a picture I took about 3 weeks ago, and I'm out at the intersection of McKee Street and Randall Road, and we had a collision in the middle of the intersection, and this is the damage to one of the cars, and you can see the whole front end of the car is gone. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this was the truck that hit that car, and then this truck careened off of Randall Road and went through the parking lot of the Pride gas station out there and ended up hitting the building, and you can see it literally went right into the front of the building and tore out the front wall. And let's show the next slide. And this shows the other side of it. There was pretty heavy damage. but it gives you an idea of the types of high-impact accidents that we have in Batavia on occasion. This year, for whatever reason, we've had a lot of bad accidents, and we've had an alarming number of fatalities in town over the, starting like last November, we started having some bad accidents both on Randall and on Kirk Road and on Route 25. So we've had some kind of bad moments on driving here. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a quilt that was put together by William Holman, the son of Alderman Holman, and this was in the Batavia Quilt Show, but it was a quilt made of Batavia history. And I thought William did an exceptionally great job with this because he included all kinds of Batavia advertisements and photographs, and I don't know what processes he used, but he's got quite a talent. And I just wanted to share this with you because this is, I think, kind of an interesting piece of Batavia that I just thought was memorable and commendable and something that the city council could see. I don't know how many of you went to the quilt show, but this was one of the prominent pieces that was on display up at the old Holy Cross Church on Wilson Street that the Batavia Depot Museum and Park District every year sponsors that big quilt show, and William had his quilt on display, so I just wanted to see what that looked like. Great piece of art. Next slide. Okay, this is one I've told you about. This is an airplane. This is a model airplane that has been made. We have a gentleman in town by the name of Charles Groth who lives over on Cleveland Avenue. And Mr. Groth, if you can believe this, and believe it is true, is one of the world champion model airplane flyers in America. And I ran into him recently. I've known him for a number of years. And he's a professor at Roosevelt University in Chicago, and he takes the train back and forth and lives over on Cleveland Avenue. And during the past election, he offered to let Alderman Cerrone put a sign for his campaign in his yard, which she did. And as soon as the campaign was over with, Mr. Groth ran out and grabbed Alderman Cerrone's sign and said that that material was one of the best materials he had ever found for making model airplanes. And so he made this model airplane. You can see the propeller on it. It's a rubber band, and he says he thinks he may win some prizes with this plane. Now show this, go to the next slide. This is Mr. Groth.
He's running my next campaign, too.
What?
He's running my next campaign.
Oh, okay. But this just shows you when you're running for office in Batavia, you never know what's going to end up happening to your campaign materials. But he told me he had done this, so he walks to the train station many days, and so one day I knew he was coming by, so I kind of staked out and waited for him to come by, and I said, hey, I'd like to get a picture of the plane, so we went up to his house, and he ran in and got the plane, and we took this shot of Alderman Cerrone's campaign sign that's now an award-winning model airplane. So all of you just be prepared that you never know what your campaign materials can turn into.
Is that a Cerrone drone?
Pardon?
Is that a Cerrone drone?
Yeah, Cerrone drone. Next slide. Okay. This is just one I found. This is a city in upstate New York that this is supposedly the witch from the Wizard of Oz, and this was an art piece that a gentleman made that they're going to display in that community, and just kind of shows you what you sometimes can do with art. It's kind of a unique piece, and I just wanted you to know Batavia is not the only place that has the kind of avant-garde art on display on occasions. Next slide. Okay, this is the Batavia Fire Department. 2 weeks ago we had 2 general alarm fires at Rubicon over on Douglas Road in the industrial park, and they were both times in the disposal dumpster. And they have a specialized dumpster there because of things that they make and chemicals and stuff that are involved. The dumpsters are all fully enclosed, and they go right into the side of the building in a pre-designed space that you can't enter. So what you throw in there, it never comes out of this dumpster till it gets to the hazardous materials landfill it's going to. But they later determined that some cleaning products that were being used in the building, somebody tossed some of the cleaning product into the dumpster, and it had an adverse reaction with some of the other materials in the dumpster and started the dumpster on fire. you can see the firemen are literally on top of the dumpster, and they had to get a K-12 saw and saw a hole in the top of the dumpster to get the water, and they ended up just filling the dumpster full of water so that they could get this fire out. On both times, we ended up having to get the public works crews over. They had to pull the dumpster away from the building with our end loaders and backhoe or in tractors and whatever. So it was, but the fire department, again, I take my hat off to them. They did a real nice job with this, because this could have been a very smoky and kind of a dangerous situation, and we could have had a lot of folks on the northeast side kind of not appreciating the smells that would have been coming had they not acted so quickly to get this out. So they did a terrific job with that. Next slide. Okay, here we are this weekend, and just to kind of give a different spin to it, I went up into the building and took some shots of the festival on Sunday from outside I went up on the 3rd floor and took this picture, and you can, just to show you that if you weren't here, the size of the crowds, this is still early on. It got to be more and more people as the day went on, as most of you who were there. But this was a very successful festival, and I think we probably got something on Batavia's agenda here now that will go on for many years. But the ability that we can, with the pedestrian bridge, we really have come into our own with that idea where we can basically have 2 staging events going on simultaneously. And I, walking around here for 3 or 4 hours, heard just countless compliments from people about, gee, this is nice, I can go over and look at the cars, I can go over here and have something to eat, I can listen to the band, I can throw a pie at the alderman, I can do, all these neat things, and this is really fun and great community stuff and whatever. And I guess at the end of the night, we put on a real spectacular light show with the lightning storm that came in. At the end of the day, I guess we ended up ending this thing about a half hour early because we were worried about potential electrical storm coming in, but everybody seemed to go home somewhat happy, and I never heard a complaint about that. But the event itself, and my hat off to Batavia Main Street for really doing a nice job of putting this whole thing together. They really put together a first class. Let's go to the next slide. This is over on River Street and showing the car show, and I took this from the top of the parking garage, and you can see that we had one of the dance groups from the Batavia Dance Studio down there on the street doing their renditions, and we had their parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, and everybody had come from all over in the middle of the car show where they were doing the dance, and that was quite entertaining. I talked to several of the folks who had their cars under display, and they thought, well, this is different. We don't always have something like this going on, but this is pretty unique, and I heard very nice things said about they certainly would be willing to come back to Batavia again with their cars because they liked the way the show was run and the amenities that were available and the food and just the gaiety and pageantry of the whole thing. Next slide. And here's the dance team out in the middle of River Street, and again, I think the street, allows for these types of things to happen, and it's kind of a answer to what a lot of, I think, people envisioned was going to happen on this street when you're able to do stuff like this. And I really, again, makes you feel good to having been a part of putting some of this together to see it being used in this fashion. Next slide. And here's some of the cars. This is parked in front of some of the Larson and Becker property that was there, and give you an idea of how we turn around and use things for different ways. And the street's position allows for this type of activities to happen. I don't know the actual count. I know a lot of people thought through the night, there were several thousand people over here walking around. So, next slide. And here's the other side of the street on River Street. And again, they use the whole front parking lot of Larson and Becker for car displays. And we ended up, they had so many cars show up that they parked them down the Wilson Street on the bridge and whatever. So we had a lot of activity going on, and plus the dedication of the new object art. So next slide. Okay, here's some pictures I took on Friday night of the damage up on North Van Buren. And this shows how all this is before anybody got there. And you can see all the heavy lines that were laying on the sidewalk and that. And some of that's some pretty big power that's down there on the street. Go to the next one. And here shows you how close the tree damage and the poles and everything that were damaged. As I say, it took the electric utility and public works about 12 hours to clean this up and get everything restored. Next slide. And this again shows the damage of what we were having to deal with. Everything else? Is this the end of it?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So, that's my little slideshow. I do these every now and then for those of you who have been here before, and I've got some more, but I started building all this up, and I wanted to get this chance to show you my photography and what we had done as things in Batavia. Some pretty interesting stuff, in my opinion. I would like to make one final comment. I was out last Wednesday morning, I guess it was, and Alderman Callahan joined me at Walmart for the ribbon cutting of the new Walmart Batavia store. I was very pleased by how that all came out. They've, increased the size of the store by about almost 40,000 square feet, and most of it's been committed toward adding the grocery component to the store. What they are telling me and what they are now seeing is that they are getting a lot of new traffic in that store because of that grocery store and the prices. And I've had several people in Batavia tell me that they've just had great mental and physical enjoyment going out and touring all the Batavia stores on Randall Road that sell groceries to look at the quote-unquote competitive spirit that's developed as far as pricing of groceries between the new Walmart and some of the competitors that are nearby on the street. And so what I'm pleased to hear is that Walmart has told me that in checking who's coming in, they're getting a lot of what they're describing as non-Batavia people in to shop at this store. So that's sales tax dollars that's coming into our community that wasn't here before, and it's not there's people coming into our town and spending their money, which is certainly a good thing. So, when we talked earlier tonight about with Art Van, that'll be another significant new, fairly good-sized user on Randall Road. So I'm hopeful that this is going to mean some sales tax enhancements for us in the near term, that some of these will start to show some real benefit to Batavia. And, we sit here sometimes and make decisions and take votes about issues and wonder, is this really going to turn into anything? Well, hopefully these types of things are beginning to show that we are going to have some new revenues coming at us at a time when I can tell you we all need new revenues given the tightness of the remains in the national economy and the demands for service of things that we still need to fund and pay for. So that's all good that we have new things happening, and we are, as the staff, we have been working with people that are talking about the Avenue Motors property over at McKee and Randall, so I'm somewhat cautiously optimistic that we'll have some continued commercial activity that we'll be bringing to you, hopefully in the near term, to take place on that particular piece of property. And then that being said, we still, and this may be city councils and mayors of the future, but we still got all that area on Randall Road going south of Main Street on the Mooseheart property that could be many years of activity by this group in making decisions. But as you know, we have annexed and zoned it, so the big step has been taken to put it into the development process. And I would suggest that that's probably not so much anymore anything the city can do. It's when the economy does something that shows that that area can start to take on development activity. It's been annexed and zoned so that that activity can take place. So, that being said, Alderman Brown, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn the September 3rd City Council meeting.
Second.
Moved by Brown, second by Stark. Clerk, take a voice vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.